Hey everyone, I'm back from GDC and I'm actually going to split my coverage videos into two. One covering the games that I got to try, this one, and one covering the hardware and the haptics side of things. I'm pleased to say that there were quite a few VR developers around, as well as others interested in getting into VR development, and that made me super happy to see the rise in interest and in coverage. Anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at some of the games that I was able to try, along with developer interviews so you get a better idea of what's coming out in the near future. I'm here with Andrew. Can you explain what's Cosmonious High about?
So you are a alien called a Prismy, and you're the first of your kind coming to a new school called Cosmonious High. And everything goes awry on your arrival, so it's your job to figure out what went wrong while you adapt new powers and still have to go to class and have to deal with all the trials and tribulations of students in high school.
Yeah, that sounds about normal. After having just gone through that, I can safely say that it still keeps to the spirit of Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator, but obviously besides the change in scenery, what would you say are some of the similarities that you tried to keep between the themes of all three, but also maybe some of the differences?
Yeah, so we tried to keep the kind of like fun. We still have this concept, everything you see, you can play with, you can mess with, but then we wanted to really extend it out. So we wanted to go to the next level. It's our largest game we've built today, and also, I have to mention we have all these powers, right, on the back of your hand that you gain throughout the school, and you can combine them and use them, so like water and fire. So it's really taking it done, putting it in a new IP, and then really expanding upon it.
What platforms are we going to find Cosmonious High on?
So it's coming out on MetaQuest 2 and Steam VR.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I'm very much looking forward to it when it comes out. Cosmonious High actually comes out on the 31st for both Quest and Steam VR, and I'll be streaming it at 6 p.m. Pacific this Thursday at twitch.tv/AtomBombBody in case you want to check out more details about the game. So I'm here with Benjamin. What is your position in the company with Dr. Block?
I've done most of the level design, some sort of design the experience, but just sort of overall creative interest. We're a very small team, so all of us do just a little bit of everything.
Awesome. So how big would you say that the team is?
Just 5 people. Yeah, 5-person team.
Can you kind of explain the synopsis for the game for people who may not have heard of it before?
Yeah, we call it an old school VR platformer because we're trying to build on some of those old concepts of old school platforming games. But it's a very simple game where you just try to get to the end of each level, and sort of an omniscient, kind of sarcastic, mean voice is taunting you for your failures and encouraging you to die a lot. We hope that the fun and the complexity comes from defeating the challenges and getting to the end.
Is STRAYLIGHT came out? It's not a recent game, right? Or
so we're not fully launched yet. We did launch in early access a while back, but we've been focused on a really big 1.0 release. So that should be happening soon. We'll be making an announcement soon.
Ew, so is that what brought you to GDC to kind of help get that push out of, maybe out of early access, or?
Yes, yeah. So we're getting very near the end of the development cycle for 1.0. We're kind of gearing up to show our little baby that we've been working on for 4 years to the world. So GDC is one of our first steps in that.
Oh, that's awesome. So since you mentioned level design, what was the inspiration in the style of the way that you're moving from area to area? Kind of did you have any inspirations for that? Or how did you come across thinking about designing all the levels based around that mechanic?
The game was all born out of this. We discovered this way to move in VR space without really having any motion sickness or nausea, very comfortable. And then we just started iterating on what's fun to do with that. And we sort of came up with these sort of roller coaster obstacle courses and started diving back into like old school platforming concepts of just get to the flag, get to the end. And that's what was the most fun. So we sort of just kept iterating and building the game on those concepts. Most of what you see is based around that idea, like you can move around really freely, but things will try to kill you a bunch.
As I ran into planets and obstacles many times, but it is at least one of those games where, like I said, while I was playing, you kind of know what you did wrong. And so at least you know what you can do better. Whether you're actually able to do it or not is going to be individual, of course. What's kind of the estimated play time? How many levels are total in the game? Obviously, I only played like 2, but...
Right. So we have 12 base game levels, increasingly difficult, which will take longer and longer to beat. But then we also have 12, we call them hard mode versions of the levels, but they're not, they're completely different experiences just set in the same setting. Extremely difficult. They provide a lot of challenge for those players who want that. You can race yourself. You can race our pre-recorded bronze, silver, and gold ghosts. You could probably get through the whole game and reach the end in between 4 to 6 hours if you really wanted to. We really think a lot of the fun of STRAYLIGHT is replaying the levels, really learning your path through them, competing on the leaderboards, competing with the ghosts, competing with your friends at home. The upper cap on playtime is, 30, 40 hours or as much as you want to play it.
I guess too, depending on your skill level and how quickly. Like for me, it was a little slower, but once I got to the second one, I was starting to get the hang of it. I'm like, all right, I got this. Is there a chance in the future that live multiplayer will ever be a thing, or is that too difficult to implement? Or
that's actually so that won't be in our first initial release. That's just a little bit beyond our capabilities for this release, but it's one of our major goals is to either in a update to the game or possibly the next one, or we will have to see. But multiplayer is a huge focus. Almost everybody that plays it eventually says, like, when can I play with my friends? So we're very focused on. We would love to get that in. That's our first big thing that we'd like to do.
Is there something in the game that you kind of wish people noticed, or like a little Easter egg, something, or like a mechanic that you don't think gets enough love that it should?
But if you really learn what you're doing and you really turn into a space ninja, you can shortcut and take the very dangerous road. And I'm really looking forward to some players finding some of those secret paths, and hopefully, uploading video of them so we can all clap along.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing everything that you guys are going to have, coming out of the next update or coming out of early access, and maybe one day down the line multiplayer. But super excited. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much too.
I also tried out Altair Breaker by Third Verse, the developers behind Swords of Gargantia. Altair is an abandoned city floating in the void where players unravel the mysteries of an AI-controlled world trying to take it over. In the 14-minute demo, I got to try a tutorial as well as some combat with the sword and shield. The shield has two functions, blocking for a parry of course, as well as a larger grid that comes out of the shield to block projectile attacks. The sword has a couple of interesting combos depending on the direction that you're slashing the sword. You also have an ultimate power-up that gets stronger the more you let it build up by holding the sword horizontal for a large frontal AoE. For locomotion, you have the ability to climb pillars, as well as the ability to glide by holding down the triggers and by lifting your arms straight up. While there will be versus AI modes, the developers made it clear that the game will truly shine and is mostly meant to be played multiplayer. When asked about character customization, the two characters that you see in the background of my playthrough are the ones that you're going to be able to start off with. However, they did mention that more skin tones and races will be available in the future, and your outfits will be customizable. I tried Altair Breaker on the Quest, but it will also be available on Steam, coming out sometime this summer. Finger gun I actually happened to randomly come across while I was walking the expo hall floor, and this was actually their first public debut. Finger gun utilizes hand tracking to, well, turn your hand into a gun. While you start off with a standard revolver, as the game progresses and you unlock more power-ups, you can get guns that shoot a lot faster and more effectively. The demo I tried featured drones so you can get a hang of the hand tracking, and as they shot you, you also had the ability to physically dodge in order to get out of the way of their bullets. Besides guns, you also have access to a grappling hook, which you can use to pull things towards you. While I don't have an exact release date yet, Finger gun is hoping to come out for the Quest sometime this year. Thank you to everyone that I met at GDC, both new developers and old friends alike. I had a great time, and I can honestly say that this has been one of my most favorite conventions for VR so far. I'm planning on heading to PAX East next, so if you're planning on attending, hit me up. As always, keep on creating and never lose that drive to improve. I'll see you on the next one.